Hello. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you guys.
Perfect.
Just
Thank
checking
you very
if
much.
else microphone working properly.
Yeah, I mean, I was just doing a double check because sometimes in the Teams definitely works, but in
Live.
the live doesn't work. So that's good to try it. Okay. Welcome everyone. I think we can start.
Yep. Go ahead.
Just 1 second. Starting like always, I have updated the recording sessions of the previous one. You will find in the link of recordings, which has the the playlist in YouTube, or you can check all the videos ordered by we did basically. As well, I added in the main page with webinars, you will see there are the scheduled future webinars. Actually, we have running this one, but soon, we don't have confirmed yet the date. We are going to have the permissions management. It is a plugin we have developed and can help all the Jira administrators to do bulk changes in terms of permissions, uh, roles management, groups management. It's a very powerful solution. It's going to be led by Choose. Soon as we have the dates, we will confirm also, and we will update this page. In terms of the session of today, I also have prepared the slides, which is this one. Sorry, no, it's not this one. Is day 4 is this one, reporting. What you're going to see today is the last part of the theory and practice. So the next one, what we will do is probably review exam examples and run together the exam questions and try to answer and clarify why the answer are in the way they expected to have. And the last part of this group of session is regarding to reporting. And today we will see, I'm going to change a bit the way we were structuring the sessions. In the previous sessions, we did initially general concepts, a lot of theory concepts you need to understand, and then later the practical case. It's good that way, but I received feedback and I want to try another model, which is basically give the theory at the same time and giving the examples. That's why we have organized the index for JQL, operators, examples, functions, examples, business requirements, examples. And then we will see in terms of type of reports, there is two types of reports, gadgets and agile reports. They are not much theory, it just show you how those reports work, what each report has. And then later, the last one is going to be dashboard. This part as well is shorter than the others, so maybe we will not need to spend the entire hour for this session. So let's start. The first part, we already saw JQL in the second session, at least an introduction. What JQL is, or what the JQL was made for, is basically to save filters you created and then later use it into reports, into boards, into dashboards, and also in quick filters. So quick filters and card layouts. But now we need to see a bit more deep what are the JQLs are and which operators or what formulas we need to at least memorize. There is a page in Atlassian where you can have a look. They have the operators, there are not too many. The operators, I think all the operators you see here are the operators you will have in the entire application. But what they do have, and a lot, are formulas, functions. They have multiple functions. In the next page, I'm going to explain some of them. The key, as as I saw in the last exam. But definitely, if you have time, you can spend exploring and testing multiple other functions. But the most important are going to be presented on here. The first thing is operators. What means operator? We saw in the previous session, in the second session about JQL. In a JQL, what you have is each ticket has an attribute, and for each attribute, you can search into the system. So the attributes in Jira are called fields or custom fields. In this example, we have summary. It's a field, it's a default field of all Jira issues, and it's a mandatory one. If we don't have summary, we cannot create a ticket. Now, what is an operator? Basically is in order to find a comparison between the field in Jira and a potential value on that field and select that issue based on that information, you need to match and use a specific type of operator. In this case, I split in text operators, object comparator, generic comparator, multiple value comparator, numeric. Numeric and date work similar, pretty similar. That's why I put together. And then I added a special one. Those looks very complex, but usually are more related with some specific type of attributes of the issue, which in this example is related to status. So starting with the first operator. I don't really know the name of this symbol in English, but this symbol, which is not the equal one, is the line, represent a comparison. A comparison with a text field. You can use it in summary, you can use it in description, you can use it in a custom field, which is a single line or multiple line, but you cannot use it in other type of fields. You cannot use it in assignee, you cannot use it in reporter, you cannot use it in components, fixed version, or numeric value. It's only working for text values. And what this operator means is basically, I want to search issues with the property summary that contains this text. If I'm looking for a text in a field, which is a text type, I must use this one. And the meaning of this operator is if that contains the text I want, I can use it. For example, summary contains ACP-620. Or if I want to search for the opposite, I think. I'm looking for tickets that doesn't contain, or issues that do not contain ACP-620, I can use the admiration exclamation symbol at the beginning. So in that case, I'm going to filter all the issues that doesn't have or don't contain the ACP-620. That's it. This is everything we can have in terms of text operators. Then we have object comparator. I call object comparator. I don't really know if it has a specific name, but in order to organize, I call it object. Why? Because assignee represent the person, reporter represent the person, and assignee and reporter, they have name, they have email, they have other properties. So those are kind of, in programming, we call objects. That's why I call it object comparator. Similar case, a component has a component lead. Component has a default assignee. Fixed version is the version, is the release. And the release has the lead, has a start date, due date, or release date, end date. So those elements that are, yes, Jay.
You're not sharing anything. Are you sharing your screen?
Oh, sorry.
I thought you were going to show something. Thank you.
Yes, sorry. I was thinking I was sharing. I was sharing in live, but not in the. Okay, let me repeat then. Basically, what I did is I group all the most important operators we have. I organized by text operators, by object comparator, generic comparators, multiple value, special operators, and numeric operators. In the case of text operators, what we have is this symbol, the line symbol, which means the summary text field contains that particular value. The other one is the distinct contain or doesn't contain. Basically, we look for all the issues that they don't have the ACP-620 text value. And then later, I was explaining exactly when you mentioned, Jay, the object operator. As I say, this one is a name I give it, but maybe it's not the correct name. The reason I give this name is basically assignee, reporter, component version, and many others. They are fields that can have properties inside. An assignee has a name, an assignee has an email, a reporter has name, email, component has a component lead, fixed version have start date, date of release. So because they have multiple elements, I consider them as an object. And for those type of elements, the correct operator for search or using JQL is the equal and distinct, which is exclamation and equal. In the first one, what we are doing is basically simple. We look all the issues where the assignee is exactly Elvis Frank. Whenever you type in JQL, the JQL will show you the options of the values you have in the operator corporation. In the case of reporters, similar. I'm looking and I'm going to get all the issues where the reporter is not Frank. And then we have component. In the component, what I'm saying is because it's an object, also can be null. In the case of component, is distinct than null means component has some value. We can also use the other generic comparator for that. We can have component is not empty, which means has a value. In the case of object, we can use both distinct to null or component is not empty. In the next example, we have fixed version, which is empty value, or similar. We can also use fixed version is empty, which is the next comparator. In this object comparator, we cannot use text field. We can't, for the distinct, we cannot, basically it is not supported for text field, but it's supported for numeric values and date values. The other one we have is generic operator. That one supports all fields. You can ask if it's a summary, if it's a description, if it's a fixed version component or any other type of custom fields or define default fields into the system. You can ask for if it has a value or it doesn't have a value. Then we have another element that I saw that very often in the exam. Anytime you see the word in, you must expect to have these brackets, because in basically will help us to find a value, for example, component in, and then a list of options. Can be a single option, can be brackets, AWS, and close brackets. But basically what means that is component has one of the values inside of the brackets, starting from a single value to any number of values that you can include in this. And always in is followed by the brackets. If it doesn't have the brackets, the JQL is not correct. Similar, in the first line, what we have is component is one of the values, AWS or Azure. But if you want to have the negative version of that or the opposite version of that, we can ask status not in, which means status is not or done, but also is not to do. Sorry, it's a mistake in the slide, but basically it's not. It's totally different to the first one. And now the other type of operators we are going to see very often is regarding to dates, custom field dates or default field dates. In this example, I use it is created, original estimated, remaining estimated story points. Created is a date field, which contains when has been created. Original estimate contains a numeric value, contains the hours or days that has been estimated the ticket, and remaining estimate is an automatic field that whenever you are tracking and adding your time spending a ticket in an issue, automatically the remaining estimate will reduce from the original one and reduce exactly in the amount of you are adding into your work. And story point as well is a numeric value. We use it for the stories in the Scrum board. And which operators we can have? Greater than, less than equal, less than, and greater than equal, which in the first one we don't include. For example, in this one will be everything created, every issue created greater than -1. 1D represent 1 day, which means if now we are at 5 p.m., you calculate 24 hours, and then yesterday after 5 p.m. the tickets have been created, or that will give you all the tickets created after 5 p.m. If you include the equal, will give you from 5 p.m., including the hour as well. In the case of original estimate, we do the same. We are comparing with 4 hours. If you include, you have options, we have H, M, D, and W, which means week. So we can compare and say original estimate that is lower than 4 hours, lower and equal than 4 hours, including the 4. We can have, instead of H, D, that will mean lower than 4 days. And remaining estimates is strict lower than 4. If you don't include the unit, by default, it's going to be hours. And the other one, simple. All the issues with the story points with a value of 1 or bigger. That's it. I would say the first operators we saw are kind of easy, and you just need to memorize at least the red one, that anytime you see in means you need to expect to have brackets. And as well, many questions are related to null is empty and not empty, so play with them. But what I saw, they ask a couple of times, I saw it in the ACP-600, in the A620, and also in the A120, ACP-120 is the was. The was operator is usually related to status attribute. And what means is if the status have been in that part, if the ticket has been in the status you mentioned. For example, here we have a status was in progress. What I'm looking for, all the tickets that pass for in progress at least once. And then you can make it more complicated. You can include that the status pass in progress, or the status pass in more than one, or done, or to do. And for that, we just need to include the word in. And as I mentioned before, always when you have in, you need to expect to have brackets. If the JQL doesn't have brackets, it's a wrong JQL, and you can discard as an answer. In this example, we have all the issues that in some time were done or to do. Any of those options will give you. Doesn't necessarily mean that is actually done or is actually to do. Is at least if it was one time in one of those status, you will have that ticket, that issue. The other one, which is, again, we added here in, which allow us to check multiple status. Now we have in, but with another condition. After. After means the ticket was in done. In this example, the ticket was in done after -1 week, which means the ticket has moved into done at least in the last 7 days. This is what this particular query means. We will see one example about after in the next slide. The other one is same. We continue working with was, can be was in, but I just limited to was because, you know, always in means there are brackets and can have one or more values. And in this case, what we have is was in, but instead of after, we have during. When we have during, similar to in, we need to expect to have brackets and then have two values, from until when. In from, you can add the date, exactly as you see in this example, or you can add, this one is -2 days, which means 2 days ago. So that will, this sentence will give you all the issues that pass in the status of in progress between 1 of October and 2 days ago. If a ticket passed during this period of time into status in progress, you will have it as a result. And the next one, which is another composition of the previous one, is all the tickets that wasn't done by a specific person. You can add, I added here my name. You can add a specific user into the system during a specific period. So I will highly recommend to have a look this, because they will definitely give you at least one of related to was. It's very often, because we know those questions, we know those operators, we know the others, and the most often, if you have an operator question in the GQL, is going to be with was. Another example I added here below is change it. I didn't do the example, is working exactly same as was. For example, let's play with this. Status, or like we can say, instead of status, we can use other values. For example, fixed version, change it to a new value. Fixed version, change it into different other values. Change fixed version was in a specific value after, during an interval of period, and also change it by a specific person. Can work exactly the same. I haven't seen that much in the queries, that's why I didn't do the example, but please play with the was. Try some of those examples and see from here. Any questions before to go to the next slide? Okay, let me go to the next one. The next slide is key operators. Similar as the previous one. There are multiple this one is not sorry. Operators functions. Yeah. There are multiple functions into the system. I don't really know the total number of functions you can use into Jira, but at least I saw that very often they can ask you about the list you have here. I split in 4 types. There are more types definitely, but the most common I saw in my other exams are related to user functions. What means user functions is you compare in the left side an attribute of the issue that is related to a person. For example, assignee is a person, reporter is a person. You can create a new field called approvers, which is a list of people, or you can create another field for to select a user. So whenever you have a user selector, you can use current user, members of, and you can ask if that specific field is a member of a group in this example. I put this example, Jira group. So I'm asking here if the reporter is in the member of the Jira group, in the Jira group. Also, you can ask if it's a user field, if the user is active or not. In this example, because they are objects, you can use equal comparator, distinct comparator, in, because members of will give you a list of values. Inactive user will give you a list of values. That's why it always goes with in. And here you have the examples. Additionally to user functions as well, fixed version and component, I haven't seen that much, but Sprint, yes. If you want to filter in a business case, for example, all the tickets that I am assign equal current user, and the Sprint is active, I can use the combination of assign current user and Sprint open Sprint. So I can get all the tickets I'm assigned in the actual Sprint. Or if I want to see all the tickets I was working in the previous sprint, I can use close sprint. Or if I want to plan my activities to see all the tickets, all the issues I'm going to work in the next sprint, the future sprint, I can do the combination of assign equal current user and sprint equal future sprint. I'm going to do the example in 1 minute. Just let me finish this slide. In the case of fixed version and component is basically if the component lead is you, or if the component lead is a person, a specific person. In the fixed version is all the unreleases tickets in a project, or all the releases ticket issues in the project as well. Then we have issues as well. I consider this section very important because that gives us, for example, the first one, all the issues that has been visited in the last 50 issues that has been visited for your team, for myself, or for someone in the Scrum board. And same, if I want to see all the issues that has a link, I can use link issues, all the issues that has been voted, because in the Jira, you have an option to vote if you like one of the tickets. And if you're watching, because you also can watch a ticket to the issue to see the changes on that, you can display all the issues you're watching, all the issues you voted. And I said no more. That's this everything related with issue functions. And then the complex one. I would say the complex one because can be combined with the previous example of operators. So what is what functions we can have in terms of date? If we add between double quotes, we can include, for example, minus represent from today. We discount that number. In this case, is created after yesterday because it's major and equal, created from yesterday, because I say -1 today, -1 yesterday, or due date major, equal, or greater than now, is all the tickets that have end date, and is going to the end date is from today to the future, or all the tickets in the next example that the creation were from now -4 days. That's like, I would say now is today, and then you add plus, which is in the future. For example, if I add +4, it's going to be, if today is Wednesday, +4 is going to be Sunday, Saturday. If I add -4, it's going to be 4 days in the back, in the past. And what I'm doing here is created 4 days ago, or created from 4 days ago. Then we have another one, and very as well often in the exams, is the start date, start week, start month. They have they have 4. They have start date, they have start week, start month, start year, and they have the opposite to that, which is end of week, end of month, end of year. But how these end or start operate functions work? Let me give you one example. We are in the line red. See if I can make it bigger. We are in the line red. Today, okay, I did for Tuesday. Assuming that we are on Tuesday, somewhere in Tuesday during the day, if I ask start of the week is going to start on Sunday, 00 hour Sunday, using my time zone of my system. If I ask end of the week, it will give me all the tickets from here, Saturday at 23:59 until that time. So we have all those tickets. And if I ask all the tickets created start of the week, -1 means all the tickets created from the start of the week was 00 Sunday, -1 will be Saturday 00. Or if I ask +2 days, if the start of the week was Sunday, +2 days is going to be Tuesday 00. This is how it's working. Start of the week, -1, start of the week, +2. And exactly in the same way, we have end of the week. End of the week is going to end this Saturday. So end of the week +1 is going to be by the end of Sunday, and end of the week -1 is going to be by the beginning of Saturday or end of Friday. This is the way. Questions? If it's not any questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass to the to the business case using those examples. Let me see. I have a couple of requirements on here, but before to do these 4 examples, let me first mention what we were trying to say. For example, one common scenario, not for the exam, but for a daily use, it could be all the tickets I'm working in my active sprint. How we can do? Simple. We will use the combination between of assignee current user, which is all the tickets I'm assigned, with sprint, open sprint, which will give me all the tickets of this sprint. So let's do this example. I'm going to open one ticket, company manage. This one. This is the Kanban. I want to switch to the Scrum. We already have some tickets in the active sprint, so we can play with this. I'm going to issues in another tab and see, I want to see all the tickets I'm actually working and are part of this sprint. So the first thing I need to include the project because I need to, or if I'm not working if I'm working in a single project, I don't need to include the project. Let's do, I'm going to assume that I don't have multiple projects. So starting with all my tickets that I am assigned, assign equal current user. Current user is the function that will give you the logged user. So all the tickets I'm assigned, I can see. I have AJCM project. I have this project, ACP-620X. I have multiple other projects. So all the tickets I'm working on, and now the other condition was, but is part of the actual sprint. So I would say sprint in open sprint. So that will give me all the tickets that I'm working in and is part of the actual sprint. But at the same time, will give me all the tickets from all the projects. If I want to limitate and see the tickets of my priority project, which is this one, I just need to include the other condition, which is add project. And then the project is this one. Part of the exam question, they will ask you, you can search the project by the project key or by the full name of the project. So in the exam, I saw this type of question, ACP-620 EX. So that one is correct, but what they ask you is if this one is correct, which for some reasons work, but yeah, in theory, it shouldn't. In theory, you can use or the project key or the name of the project. Those are the options. I don't know if there is a change or something, but the alternative is or use the project key or use the full name. And whenever you use the project key, you don't use the double quote. So now going back to the examples, and let's run the scenarios. For example, find all unresolved issues. Let's start for this. Find all unresolved issues. Unresolved issues, what means? Resolution. There is not one way to implement. There are multiple ways of implementing on GQL. But unresolved issues is resolution is empty. This is one way. That will give me all the tickets, all the issues that are not resolved yet. Or as I mentioned to you, we can use the other operator, which is equal null. As well, give me the same amount of result, 59. So I can use or is empty, or I can use equal null. Both of them are going to work. also, as far as I remember, you can use a value because resolution is a standard field. It has an unresolved value, which is not a real value, it's just unresolved, and give me as well 59. So in the case of resolution, there is 3 options to search for all the tickets that are not resolved. You can use unresolved, you can use is empty, you can use equal null. Now, the next part, say, to a specific user that were created in the current month, to a specific user. Let's use this one. And now I'm going to do and assign it to a specific user. So and assign a specific user. I'm going to use, I can use current user if I want to search by myself, but they say a specific user, so they mean someone else. Maybe I can search for J. So I have the second part built, which is all the issues, unresolved issues that are assigned to J that were created in the current month. Same. Now the condition is created in the current month. How I can do this? The current month, and a solution can be major equal -8 because has been created in the current month, because today is 8th of November, so in the current month is -8 days. So I have, that could be a solution. But what happens if I save this filter and I use it tomorrow? I need to update this parameter. So that's not the best solution. It's a solution, but it's not the best solution. So here then we can use start of the month. And that's it. And with that, we have the same result. But even if I change even if they change tomorrow, I run the same query, I will still have the same result. That's the expected result. So that's it. This is everything. And I can say that has been created this month doesn't have any sense, but also I can say created this month, major equal than this month, and minor equal than end of the month, and will not affect. So take care of this, because this one is a correct answer, but doesn't have any change because we are asking the same. The creation happened once. So everything created in this month is going to work with this. You can include an additional condition, which is created less than this month by the end of this month, but it's not going to have any changes. But it's a potential also answer. Next one. Identify all high priority tasks across multiple projects that are past due and are not yet in progress. That's a good one. Let's start with the first part. All high priority, that's the easy part. Priority equal high. Probably I will have 0. For the example, I'm going to use medium because the system creates by default with medium, just to have some data, but it's just high priority rather than medium. Then across multiple projects, which means I don't need to include the restriction of one specific project. Then that are past due, which means the due date has expired. So then, and due date major equal, we can use multiple options again. I'm going to use now, which means due date is minor than now, minor equal. That will give me all the tickets that the due date expired before today, minor today, or minor exactly right now, so they will already expire. I don't have any, but let me modify some of the results just to show you, just to have some example of data. We will open this one. Search by due date. target end. Save. Let's see if I can at least have one result. Target end 0. It was yesterday. So let's see. This is I'm okay, yeah. Due date. I confused. Okay, I'm going to add due date. This is the correct field. Save filter. Date. Here. Okay, so yesterday. Due date. And now we include. Perfect. So we force it. Now we have the due date. So we have one ticket that already expired because the due date was yesterday. Now going back to the example, and they are not yet in progress. That means they are not asking if the ticket passed already in progress, if it's not in progress. Oh yeah, it didn't pass in progress. So let's start with a simple solution. And status different than progress. So that will show me all the tickets that are actually not in progress, but they have a phrase which is not yet in progress. That means that they didn't pass to in progress. For that, what we have to use is was not in progress. So that will give me my ticket that never was in progress and the expiration date was before today. And that's it. This is one solution. We can do multiple options to do the same solution. I think we have 15 minutes almost before to finish. The business requirement 3 and the 4, the solutions are down. I will let you to play with these examples and the solutions of that. Let me go to the Jira gadgets, reports, and the Jira dashboards to complete the theoretical part of this session. Before to start here, is there any question? Perfect. So let's go to reports in Jira. In the case of Jira, we have at least two ways to create reports by default without plugins. One of them is called Agile Reports or Jira Software Reports. You will find into your project in this section. And those are the reports you're going to find. The other one you can do is basically on top you have dashboards, and you can create dashboards, and in the dashboards you can include gadgets, and those gadgets can measure I can show you information. We saw in the session 2 that the dashboards are cross multiple projects if you want, and you can just edit and change the composition of the you can change the layout of the dashboard, but also you can add or remove gadgets that have data or charts. For example, I'm going to add average in status. That'll give me a good example. I'm going to do using a filter. Let me just quickly, I would say priority medium, which will give me all the tickets in the system. This test environment does not have many, but at least 64. I'm going to save this. Save filter. I will call ACP filter. I will make it public. Viewers, my organization, so anyone with access to the system will be able to see it. Editors, I will make it just the org admins can change it. So I have a filter. My filter is ACP-620. ACP filter. In the gadget, when you include the gadget, depending on the gadget, they can be related to a filter or they can be related to a project. You have to read the gadget. I choose average number of times in a status, and the status I'm going to select all of them. Let's save. And I can see to do, done, and probably in progress. So you can also customize the gadget. I will do to do, done. You can select two by keeping your keyboard with control. So I have just two, save. Now, and only see the average time my ticket spent in to do or in done, which is this one. So this is the two ways to do get reports by dashboards or Jira Jira software reports. In the case of the gadgets, I would recommend to play with two dimension. I will use my same filter because it's easier. Two dimension basically allows us to create a table with columns and rows where you can identify, for example, in the x-axis, I'm going to use the assignee. In the other one, I'm going to use the status. The number of results, I will say 50. And then save. What I have with this gadget, and it's very useful, the two dimension is I can mix two parameters. I'm interested to see how many tickets in review are assigned to Frank, Gabriela, Jay, Olga, and unassigned. How many tickets in progress are assigned to each of those members. If you want to measure two elements in a single view, the best is two dimension. It's a simple one and very powerful. But if they wanted to ask you for progress, you have other is called percentage or statics, I think. Statics. Yes, this one. Issue statics. This one as well is super powerful, but issue statics is going to help you to identify the percentage and the number, but just with one parameter. I'm going to use sim filter, ACP filter. For example, I want to see how many tickets per assignee there are. I can use this one. I will say, yes, 10 is perfect. And I will see the percentage of tickets unassigned, assigned to myself, to Jay, to Olga, to Gabriela. And in similar way as the percentage and this issue statics, you have the pie chart. Pie chart, which is this one. Similar. Here, there is not, I would say, not big difference between pie chart and statics, because in both cases you have the numbers. In the case of pie chart, you have the numbers, exact numbers. In the case of statics, you have the number, but also you have the percentage. So you have a bit more detail in terms of value. In the pie chart, you still can see the percentage, but not in a single view. You need to go to each section to see the value, the percentage. Unassigned 35 is similar. The other thing they will ask you, but I think we don't have data, is this one, workload pie chart. What it does is going to show us, let me add, using the same filter we created with all the issues. Statics, approval groups, I'm going to use creator, time spent. Time spent by creator. So basically, it works whenever we add our time into the ticket, because in this environment, we didn't add time, we cannot see the time we have spent it. I see Olga spent 1 day 55 minutes, probably in some of the tickets. If we click on this we will be able to see the exactly result of that. But in order to have data, that one is important to see the time the people added into the issues. That's very useful for that. And the other gadgets are kind of simple. You have, for example, create versus resolve. What is going to show you is just a chart in the last 30 days, or you can configure by daily, weekly, and what it will show you is 2 lines. How many tickets were resolved in that day, how many tickets were created in that day. And by customizing, we can just change the period of them weekly. So we see that in the last 2 weeks, we created 9 tickets, we resolved 50, well, we created 5, we resolved 8. So this is what will give you. In terms of Agile, you also can include some dashboards, some data from the Agile. For example, the Spring Gadget is one very used one. You need to select the board, needs to be a Scrum board. And then if you click on that, Spring, yeah, basically what it's going to show you is how many days are remaining for to end in your sprint, which in our case is 4. And there are multiple. I would recommend to play with them, but the most important in terms of data is the pie chart, the statics, which is this one, and the 2 dimensions. Those are very useful. Is there any question? Yeah, Jay.
I know you're running out of time. Is it possible if you can quickly explain burn up chart and control chart very briefly, just how to read the report?
Oh yeah,
If
we are
possible.
going to that. We are going
Thank you.
exactly to that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we can include on the dashboard those reports you mentioned, but the best way to read them, and they are going to come, is on in the project itself. There is questions usually related to those are to what is the burn down, what is the burn up. Let me see if I can show you with more data, because and here we don't have too much data. So let me see if I can share some of the examples here. For example, what is burn down? Burn down chart will show us the compromise at the beginning of the sprint. For example, in our case, we can use story points, we can use original estimate. I don't really know what we use it. Looks like story points. For example, at the beginning, this graph represents the sprint. The sprint started on 28 or before 28. And at the beginning of the sprint, which is 26th of April for the sprint 13, we compromised to work the entire team almost 100 story points, which is a lot. And then during the sprint, what happened, you see these little lines is, or some story points change because the tick, for example, here, the story point decreased in -1 because it was completed, but also someone can add an story and a ticket into your Scrum. Whenever you add an active Scrum, an active sprint, a ticket, you will have a pop-up showing that you are changing the scope. But that's why the bar down is not the most accurate to see the real effort of the team, because each time you start a compromise, but each time you are completing a task, the red line must go down and must follow the gray line. But what is the problem is, in the meantime, or the ticket change and grow. For example, it was estimated at the beginning to be 0 story points, but then they realize it's going to take 5 story points, so that your scope change and the line goes up. And when the ticket is completed or other tickets are completed, it's going down. So you have not an accurate view of how is it your progress. What you can know by the end of the sprint is how many of them has been completed in total, how many of them are remaining, but you don't have the full vision. In general, represents the story points being completed. And in theory, if there is no change scope, you will see the red line in the end of your sprint. Let me show you what I use, and it is more accurate. It's similar to bar down, but it's more accurate because it has two lines. In the red line is the bar nap. In the bar nap, we have two lines. In the red line, we represent our commitment. At the beginning of the sprint, in this example, by 2027, at the beginning of the sprint, we compromised 35 story points. But what happened is during the sprint, as this very often happening, some stakeholders added more requirements, which means more tickets with more story points, and then our board grows, and you can see how many tickets were added by the end of our sprint. But at the same time, in the green line, you will see the tickets that has been completed. So really helps you to see which one, how was the real progress? How was the progress of in terms of added data or reduced data? Because in red, you will see what was added or what was reduced. And always in green, you will see what was the completion of the team into the squad. And but by the end of the sprint, you will see the total number added and completed. This is the most accurate. Then we have sprint report, also part of the sprint report part. Sprint report basically contains the burn down, but also has something else. Sprint report is not just the burn down, also has the entire list of all the issues that has been implemented or executed in that sprint. On top, you have the completed, and down you have all the issues that haven't been completed, and also the story points related to all of them. There is another one, it's called velocity chart. Velocity chart, what it's going to show you is what is the compromise of your team. In this example, for example, you have the sprint 15, 16, 17 until 21. In gray color, we have the compromise of the team at the beginning of the sprint. In the sprint 16, we were very optimistic and we compromised 100 story points. By the end of the sprint, we only complete less than 50 story points, probably over 30 story points. In the next sprint, we still were very optimistic, but we complete more than the previous sprint. The next one, same. We were less optimistic. We didn't compromise at least 100 story points, but still a big number. And our performance was lower than the previous one, but bigger than the initial one. But as you can see here, there is an improvement. In the 19 sprint, we compromise higher than 150, 125, and we complete almost 100. This is not realistic. What probably happened is in the previous sprint that looks lower is multiple tasks. They didn't finish. They were about to finish, but they were closing the next one. That's why you have this kind of go down and then go up. And then you have the same details on down, the table with each sprint, the committed and the completed. Cumulative flow is another interesting report that is going to show you where your tickets spend most of the time. In our case, as you can see, you can also change. For example, I don't want to see Dan fly. Yes. What you will see in the cumulative flow is each period. I'm going to do, for example, the last month. In the last month, how many tickets were on review? In the October 12th, I can see that less than 25 were on review. And then in green is all the tickets were blurred. In purple, all the tickets were on hold. And here you can see a progression of where your tickets usually spend the most of the time. As you can see, the majority of the time our tickets spend in to do, which is before to start working, and in progress is the time we usually spend to complete, which is this one. The other interesting report is version report. Version report is when you use the fixed version release or fixed version or the release version, and you add tickets on that, what it's going to show you is the number of tickets that are being completed in time, and then the version report will estimate and calculate when you realistically will finish your version. We are not really using versions, that's why it doesn't have any sense or doesn't have any data or interesting data on here. The other one is the Epic report that maybe is kind of the same as the version, but you can select the Epic you want to analyze. For example, bulk CF is one of the plugins. And here what we can see as well, we don't have enough data to analyze here, but it's going to show you the number of tickets assigned to that epic and how they were progressing and the projection, as we don't have data as well, cannot see. And this one, this was interesting. This one shows in average how many days or how many days the tickets are in an are getting or are spending to be closed or be completed. For example, in August, we have multiple tickets completed in 9 days, multiple tickets completed in 10 days, 18 days, and in the red line is our average. Is our average, and in the blue is the average of that specific period. Epic bar down. Epic bar down. I don't think I need to. Paper. It's better to share with you with some more accurate data because we don't have that. Epic part down, what does is, let's open this one. Epic part down. Whenever you create an epic and you assign into the epic the tasks, in each sprint, you can see the epic, how the epic is progressing, how many tasks for that specific epic has been completed in the sprint 7, how many of them has been compromised, has been added. So you will see the progression in all the sprints about your epic. So it's a progression of your epic. And I think that's it from my side. Any questions? Okay, if it's not any other question, thank you very much. I hope I see you the next one. The next one is going to be examples of exam. And we will basically probably do 20 questions and we will explain each of the questions why the answer are as expected to be. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.